deliver juice, I'm going to be a juice salesman. And that's fine, but I want to be an artist. So I decided if I don't make art every day, or almost every day at least, then I'm not going to be able to be an artist probably. You know? A lot of people are very creative and they love to do art, and later in life they say, oh, I wish I could get back to my art. I wish I had made time for my art. I used to love to do art. I think I heard that too many times, and art was too important to me to let that happen to me. And I think that's why I've been motivated to try to be an artist. That's what makes me want to make art. But the thing that makes me want to make specific types of art is all different reasons. You know, I like drawing in the beginning of my art, and eventually it evolved into collage. The main reason is because I had materials that I felt bad about throwing into the garbage. I had all these photographs at home, and I don't know if you guys remember, but not too long ago, before people had digital cameras, everybody had to develop all their pictures before you got to see them. Now people have digital cameras and they've got these memory cards, and they can take hundreds of pictures without developing any of them. Sometimes they just download them onto their computer. Sometimes they take thousands of pictures and never develop any of them. You know? But 10 years ago, everybody had to develop their pictures, and often you got bad pictures. And they also used to have a special deal at the drugstore and other places where they'd give you 2 copies of the photograph instead of just one for the same price. So everybody would go for that deal. And what would happen is that you'd end up with a lot of bad photographs. And I was doing my photo album at home, and I realized that I had a whole stack of photographs that were really just throwaways. And I felt like, you know, I paid to print these things. It seems wrong to just throw them into the garbage. But it also seemed silly to just keep them and say, these are all the bad photographs that I took in 1995. So I started making art out of them. And most of them were pictures of my family. So I started cutting up pictures of my family and my kids and my parents, and I started making art out of it. And you can see on this one, it's just a bunch of photos chopped up. You know, sometimes there's a group photo that they take at a party, somebody's eyes are closed, or somebody is looking the other way, so they take another picture. Well, there's a lot of good stuff in those pictures to use, if you cut them up. And so that's what I was doing for a while. And at some point, I had this realization that if I took pictures of something, whether it was a person, or let's say a famous building, or anything, and just cut that picture up into pieces, and then I took those pieces and mixed them around to make a collage, then it makes a very interesting type portrait of that picture. So this was an example where I took one photograph. Did you have this one in your display? Did you guys see this one? No?
Yes.
Yes, no, yes, no?
Yes.
Well, this is, does anybody know what building this is? The Empire State Building, that's right. The original of this was made from a 4x6-inch postcard. So the original collage is 4x6 inches, it's small. And I just cut the postcard up, I cut it into strips, and then I cut it into slivers. And I rearranged it in my own way and created this. And I just thought, now this is pretty interesting. Even though it's all chopped up and mixed up, we can still tell what it is right away. And to me, that was interesting. For a while, I started making presents for all my friends and family, where, let's say it was their birthday, I would take a photograph of them, or several photographs of them. Sometimes I would even specifically take photographs to do this, you know, not just take bad ones. I'd say, smile, don't smile, make a funny face. You know, I'd tell them a joke and they'd make a funny expression. And then I'd cut all those pictures up together into one portrait. And it almost looked like looking at that person through a kaleidoscope, or looking at that person through a shattered mirror. You know? You see pieces of them. And everybody knows what they look like, so it's kind of a cool effect. It's kind of like this. But this led me to what I think is my most important collage, because this was the collage that I think where I was transformed from a regular type person into a serious artist. And it was the same idea as the Empire State building, but it was with a cereal box instead. And it was the same idea. I felt bad about throwing out the cereal box. I didn't want to just crush it and throw it into the garbage. So for a while, I just kept it on the floor of my office until one day when I was making art, I just took it in a magical moment that changed my life. It really did. You know, before I created this, I never used a cereal box in any of my art. Since I've created this, I've become the cereal box pop artist somehow. So this was the very beginning of it all. And as you can see, it's not broken up very much, but it's broken up just enough to know that it's been messed with. And I think everybody who looks at it knows immediately exactly what it is. So to me, this was my first way to really connect with people, especially people I don't know. You know, when it's pictures of my family and stuff, it was much more personal. But to me, this became the first kind of art that I thought the world would appreciate. And I started doing the same idea to as many different products as I could. Does anybody know what this one is? Ritz crackers, that's right. The red, the blue, and the gold, I mean, it's impossible to not know what this is. And one of the things I started doing was putting my initials in my work. Can you see in the center of it? It says MA, cut out. The MA, that's my initials, Michael Albert. I also sometimes cut them out of the letters. Up here you can see an MA. And over here, down here, there's another one. So you might want to cut out your initials and put them in your collage. But that's something I started doing, and you can pretty much find that in all my work.